Hi, welcome, and this is Mr. Yan. This is the first video on viruses, and this video is going to concentrate on the structure of viruses. But, first of all, I think viruses are pretty interesting because they really blur the boundary between what is life and what is not life. On one hand, viruses share a lot of characteristics that living things have, including they're made of things like proteins, lipids, nucleic acids, they have DNA and RNA. But on the other hand, if viruses are outside of a living cell, they can't carry on the normal functions of life. But to really understand what I'm talking about here, you have to be able to describe the structure of a virus, and that's the objective for this short video. Let me draw a virus out for you very quickly, and I have a couple objects right here, and they look very geometric, and some of these viruses are geometric in shape. And you kind of have to think in 3 dimensions here, and I'll show you a real picture of a virus pretty soon, but all viruses have a capsid. And this is just, a capsid is made of proteins, and it is kind of like a shell for a virus. And inside the capsid, if you're thinking in 3 dimensions again, inside this capsid, you can have DNA or RNA. This is the genetic material of the virus. And these are just the instructions on how to make new viruses. The genetic material for the virus. And again, this can either be composed of DNA or RNA, depending on the virus. And I can't spell today, RNA. So that's the basic virus. And I have a couple other shapes down here. And this could be one shape for a virus, but viruses can be spherical in shape. Viruses can also, share the same shape, but have structures down here with leg-like structures, and this structure can actually inject itself into the cell, and the virus doesn't have to enter the cell then, it can just inject its DNA. So I guess the point is that no viruses can look the same, but they vary at the same time. Going back up here to this original virus, some viruses actually have an outer membrane, so to speak, made of lipids, just like cells have an outer membrane made of lipids. And this is a lipid envelope. And the reason this resembles cells is because this envelope actually came from a pre-existing cell. And some of these envelopes even have these weird proteins sticking out of the surface. And as you'll see in the next video, these proteins act as keys. And these keys can be used to unlock the cell, so to speak, so the virus can gain entry into the cell. And these are made of protein. So we see that there are 3 of these biological molecules that we've been talking about in class over the past year: proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids, those DNA and RNA molecules. If you see this, this virus shares a lot of characteristics of life, but, really, is it life? And we'll be discussing that in class. And this virus can't perform any life functions outside of a cell, so how can it really be considered life? But it still shares those characteristics. Let's go back to that PowerPoint. Now here is an electron micrograph from an electron microscope of a virus, and this type of virus infects bacterial cells, and you can kind of see some structures that we were talking about. Right here is that capsid made of proteins, and this is a hollow capsid, and if we would cut this in half, you would see DNA or RNA, the genetic material in that capsid. And this is not a virus that's surrounded by a lipid membrane, but here are a couple of those. Here is an illustration, 2 illustrations of viruses. This is the capsid right here. Inside the capsid, they cut it away, and you can see the genetic material, DNA or RNA. And these particular viruses are surrounded by these lipid membranes, and they have proteins sticking out of the lipid membranes. And again, these are going to serve as keys to the cell. And here is an artist's rendition of an HIV virus that's not cut away. This green part, greenish blue part, is the lipid layer, and these parts sticking out are the proteins. And I have the structure of the virus summarized right here. I'm not going to repeat it, but you can stop the video right now and copy this stuff into your notes. The next video is going to be on how do viruses infect cells, and I'll see you then.